Oscar fever may be sweeping the nation, but there are plenty of small-screen favorites with new episodes this week. Of course, we're checking into The White Lotus on Sunday night, as well as The Pit on Thursdays. And we can't get enough of the new seasons of Netflix's Love is Blind, Apple TV Plus' Severance, that last episode, and Peacock's The Traitors. Even if the second installment of 1923 is slower than the first, the season returns with another exciting episode. If this were a longer-running series, a slow burn might be fine, but with 1923 concluding in Season 2, I would have preferred a faster pace. That said, Episode 2 is another strong installment in what I consider to be one of creator Taylor Sheridan's most reliable shows. The season opener showed us the harshness of winter in the 1923 world, and the latest episode presents even more challenges. The dangers are greater than expected, but Jacob Dutton and his traveling companions refuse to back down. Meanwhile, Cara Dutton and Elizabeth Stafford attempt to keep the wolves at bay. Sheriff William McDowell and Jacob Dutton visit the courthouse to discuss the release of Zane Davis, his wife Alice, and their children. It turns out Zane was married to a Native American woman in violation of the law, a practice known as miscegenation. He had been beaten so badly that he was bedridden, while his wife and children were arrested. Jacob tries to encourage Zane, reminding him that their time to fight back is coming and that their struggles are not in vain. But Zane, unconvinced, responds that it can only happen if there's any of us left. Determined to bring the family back home, Jacob risks traveling through the storm. However, hazardous conditions force the group to turn back and attempt to weather it. Their journey becomes even more difficult when they must release the horses to prevent them from freezing to death. On the same day, Elizabeth Stafford, played by Michelle Randolph, goes to the chicken coop in the morning to gather eggs, only to encounter a wolf. As she runs, the wolf bites her leg. With a violent storm approaching, Cara Dutton treats the wound and sends for a doctor, worried the wolf might have been rabid. The doctor arrives and administers a series of shots against Elizabeth's wool, holding her down as she protests. Eventually, she resigns herself to recovering and plans to return home as soon as the storm passes. That night, however, her instincts prove right. A wolf returns and kills the nurse, leaving Cara once again wielding a gun to fend off a deadly animal. Meanwhile, the ruthless and greedy Donald Whitfield takes an interest in skiing after watching skiers on the hills. When a Norwegian man tells him, anyone can do it. My grandmother can do it, Whitfield is inspired, not to ski himself, but to turn the area into a tourist destination. You can almost see the dollar signs in his eyes as he discusses the potential with his lackey, Banner Creighton, Jerome Flynn. Comparing the thrill of skiing to a bar fight, he says, one thing you cannot buy in a store is the euphoria of peril, the exhilaration of danger. I can make a lot of money selling that. Later, Banner confesses, I've never met a man who scares me. Not once in my life, until now. Elsewhere, Father Renault and Marshall Kent continue searching for Tiana Rainwater, her father, runs his horse, and Pete Plenty Clouds, who remain on the run in Texas. Meanwhile, Spencer Dutton and Luca head to Galveston, Texas, in a rowboat, where Spencer gets into a fight with his Italian companions. Over a meal, including a lesson in eating pizza, Spencer searches desperately for a train station and a telegraph office. When told he must stay put, he fights off a gangster's bodyguard, only to be captured and beaten by a group of Italians. Despite this, he negotiates his departure, insisting he must protect his family and home. At the same time, Alexandra is traveling to the U.S. by ship, enduring a brutal storm. As the waves batter the vessel, she clings to life, hoping to survive. During Spencer's journey to Montana, he makes an unexpected new friend, leading to surprising developments in Episode 2. Back home, as Jacob and the others battle a mountain lion, Donald Whitfield's schemes continue. Meanwhile, Alexandra reveals she's pregnant, making her solo journey even more perilous. As 1923 progresses, it's clear that Spencer Dutton won't make it home by the season's end. That doesn't bother me too much, as I expected him to return early in Season 2. However, it seems Spencer is getting sidetracked by side quests in classic video game fashion. Fortunately, These detours are compelling. This time, it's the Italian mafia interfering with his journey. Though I like Luca, Spencer's new ally, I sensed he had a darker side from the way he handled the betting during Spencer's fight. Episode 2 confirms this suspicion, revealing his cousin's true identity. The mafia boss dislikes Spencer's attitude, and Spencer, realizing the danger, tries to escape rather than get roped into shady dealings. However, he's forced into a bargain. Spencer is now a lone man fighting against the mafia. Sheridan keeps throwing unexpected challenges Spencer's way, and I'm intrigued by how he navigates them. At least this time, Spencer manages to send a message home. He's making progress, just not as quickly as I'd hoped. By the end of the episode, Spencer and Luca are assigned to transport his cousin's whiskey to Fort Worth, Texas. The fact that Spencer is given a gun signals that trouble is coming. While his storyline remains engaging, Episode 2 also deepens the backstories of other key characters. Banner Creighton, played by Jerome Flynn, was more one-dimensional in Season 1, but the 1923 Season 2 premiere gave him new layers. By the end of Episode 2, Banner expresses his fear of Whitfield, saying he doesn't want his family involved with him. I suspect this fear could have sinister consequences, possibly leading Banner to turn on Whitfield later in the season, a twist that would make for an interesting arc. Meanwhile, Alexandra's turbulent journey is intriguing. In Season 1, she proved her willingness to step outside her comfort zone, but she's still unprepared for the hardships ahead. Unlike the Dutton women, she's used to a life of luxury. Similarly, Elizabeth's struggle shows how some Dutton women aren't accustomed to the challenges of ranch life. Back home, winter continues to test the Duttons. With increased animal attacks and Elizabeth's near-fatal encounter with a wolf, survival is growing more difficult. The episode ends with Helen Mirren's Kara possibly reaching her breaking point, while Harrison Ford's Jacob makes a dangerous decision, heading home in a snowstorm with Zane's family, leaving them stranded. As 1923 moves toward what should be a satisfying conclusion, my main hope is that the pacing issues don't continue to hold the series back.